I think I thought that I would have had to be like a stuffy lawyer, and that's not what I wanted. And obviously you're not like that, I mean, but that's why I didn't go to law school. I was like, I want to be creative. I want to have fun. I want to do stuff like that. And, I actually think that I would make a lot more money if I was a lawyer because of the fact that I could fee split. That'd be really good.
I mean, I don't understand why lawyers, like, I didn't even know that existed when I was in law school, but I was, I wanted to be a trial lawyer, do these things, but I didn't know the
Yeah.
fee stuff. And it's just a license to like go out and market. And then if it's in your niche, then you take it. If like I got a call today from a probate lawyer in Massachusetts, he's like, hey, I'm in LA, he's like, can I cut you in to come work on this case with me? Just because he knows who I am through, social media pretty much. I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, I can do these things.
Yeah.
But then he could fee split on it, right? So it's just way easier. Yeah.
I mean, at some point, it's like whoever can garner the most attention is always going to make the most amount of money, So what I do is I try to teach lawyers, how do you get the most attention for yourselves so that you can make the most amount of money? But it would be a lot easier if I could just bypass the lawyers and just do it, because I know how to do it. I know how to get attention. I know how to do all this stuff. It's so funny because I work with lawyers and I say, do this, do this, do this. And I promise you, you will get cases. And most lawyers don't do it. But the ones that do it come back and they're like, holy crap, I did that thing and it actually worked. And, it's like, it's funny because I think we're at like 350 clients right now. They're all law firms and one cosmetic surgeon, but 349 law firms. And like, we're getting these just ridiculous results for a lot of lawyers. Like we talked to this lawyer last week. He 22x'd his law firm in like 7 months. We studied it. We actually looked at the numbers. The average lawyer that works with us grows by 81%. It's not because we're special. It's because we have a system and we say, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, and it will work. And the ones that are getting these results, they buy in and they just do it. I think that's the secret. I think that if you want to get ahead, just be coachable. Find people that know what they're doing and listen to them.
And then implement it. Like people just they get lazy with just not, I give mentorship to people every day. My phone blows up and a lot of young lawyers want to start their solo careers or like move law firms to get a trial work. And I just tell them very simple tips. And if people that do the same, if they follow this, they do well. If they don't, like, well, why didn't you do that? And they keep coming back to me. It's like, why aren't you taking this advice? That like, it's not hard. It's not like super easy, but you got to put in the sweat equity.
I think there's principles. Success leaves clues, right? That book I told you about earlier before we're recording, A Customer is Born Every Second, is about P.T. Barnum. I love that book because it talks about P.T. Barnum in he's like 1840. He had this museum. It was like a Ripley's Believe It or Not style museum. He actually made all his money through this like museum, right? But like, who goes to a museum? What he did is he used all these marketing principles, and this book documents all the different ways that he would market his museum. And the funny part is it's the same stuff we do today. It's the exact same crap. It's like the strategy stays the same. The tactics change. The strategy, like provide value, get attention, all that type of stuff. And now it's just, instead of using the town crier, now we're using Facebook ads.
It's always sales as much as, look, I'm a trial lawyer. I'm selling to a jury sometimes, whatever your product is you're doing, but you got to be top of mind and you got to have credibility. That's the A1 for both of me. So like I tell people all the time, like, where do people get their news? Where do they live right now? And a lot of younger generations, they don't check emails, dude. It's either SMS or they're on social media.
Yeah.
That's where I live. And I tell people all the time, like, this one guy I'm helping start his like a driving company, like driving for lawyers. And we were talking the other day and I was like, well, what are you doing to like generate business? He tells me a few things. I keep telling him, like, just when there's an event for lawyers, just flood their DMs for all those lawyers going to the event saying, hey, I'm driving. Do you need a ride? And he's like, well, what I feel bad if he's like, I feel bad if I'm like hounding people. I was like, why? Just like be top of mind, text people. Like, how else you think it's just going to magically come down to you? He's one of my very good friends. So he's like, yeah, and then he got a few clients just from doing that. But yeah, dude, it's just top of mind. And I generally just love everybody. So I like to communicate, hang out, and even I'm in several text chats and WhatsApp chats and Slack chats and very active in all those things, but it works.
One of the interesting stories I saw is that you and your brother started a law firm and you quickly scaled to 8 figures. So talk about that. How do you quickly, it was just in a few months, right? Like, did you use a combination of technology, or like, how do you scale a law firm just to 8 figures in like a few months? That's crazy.
It wasn't a few months. It was a few years to 8 figures. So we were 7 figures at the jump. So, we started the firm in 2010, this is 2022, and we just hit a milestone in 1 year. We've now brought in over 100 million. And that's paid, right? So I think we're up to about 150 already this time in 2022. So it was always a goal of mine to do that in 1 year, not cumulatively, but 1 year. So we hit that. I always make insane goals. Early on, I didn't have the money to, I'm a son of a truck driver. We didn't have the money to put into advertising. I've actually never done SEO or PPC. I'm starting to explore that right now for the first time ever. Different, more of a B2B type play for what my businesses are. But back then in the day, like it was just straight street hustle. Look, I tell lawyers starting their firms, you spend 50% of your day hustling. You got to be marketing yourself. You got to be out on the street doing swap meets, talking to people, going to chiropractor's office, whatever it may be. So I was very lucky enough when I was my first year lawyer, I got on a game show of how are you smarter than a fifth grader? How? Because I went to a chiropractor's event, hustling business, and there was some random producer there that says, hey, do you like trivia? You're a funny guy. Would you like to be on this game show? I was like, sure. So I auditioned and I did it like 3 days later. I won $175,000 from that. And I was able to bank a few cases that I had been working on at my prior firm. So I took that, started my firm, and through just continually helping people and talking, and my Spanish is very good. So I'm in this, Hispanic community. I got a wrongful death case like that ended up selling for $5 million within a couple of years of starting my practice. So I already had all that built in. So it was the big momentum, but I put myself strategically in that position and continue to do by always being out on the street. The reason we were able to net those type of numbers, and I'm not talking like gross numbers, we don't have debt with all these other folks, is you have to leverage technology. You have to not think about having, in my opinion, clients don't give a shit about trophy office space. That's just for you. There's all these different things that we waste time and money on overhead. And if you get just very savvy, and even just like trial lawyer savvy, I call it, which just click a few buttons on your phone to have technology help you. Oh my God, it's a godsend. Like we have, like, the stuff, chat bots, AI chat bots on your website, easy. You can text clients in mass. It acts as your like CRM. These little type of things that you can do just makes it so much easier for you to practice law and get business. There's case management platforms that sync with all this shit. And I just don't, like, people always complain that they don't have enough time in the day and they don't get enough cases and they're just struggling with all these other things. And it's just like, hey, if you look at automating your discovery, like, what the hell is that? I'm like, well, dude, check this app out. Like, and it's like, oh my God, I didn't know that exists. Well, sometimes we get so busy, we don't have time to figure this stuff out, but it's not rocket science.
So a lot of lawyers, you're actually very unique, where a lot of lawyers are not taking this technological approach. For the lawyer who basically feels overwhelmed, feels like there's not enough hours in the day, and they want to start doing some of this stuff, start using tech to automate their law firms, where are some of the places that you would start?
Okay. So I think your A1 with anything that you want to get into new is find a mentor that is in that space. And a lot of people in our space will help you for free and show you what direction to go into. If you have a person that's able to integrate all of those things, it makes it easier for you to have access. Like, I'm a big believer in having contract directors at any company. I have other companies outside my law firm that we run, and I use a lot of the time a contract CFO. I use a contract COO, a contract CTO. So you have to find those people that are in those roles that know all of these things and how to integrate all of it and lean on them. It doesn't have to be an employee. It could be a contract person to do those things, but if you find a mentor geographically, they can help you implement it. But once you have those things, build it early on. I think you start with any type of CRM that you're going to use, where you're going to house all of your contacts. It could be a case management platform that you feel comfortable with to do it. But the world's going to work like this now. And I think you see this, Andy, is if you're running digital ads or wherever you're getting your cases, it has to automatically integrate and sync with whatever case management or CRM that you have. So it automatically goes into that, because whenever you get that client contact, I don't give a shit if you sign that case, if you like it or not. That person is an asset for you to market to and to have infinite marketing through to their cousins, their cousins' cousins, their friends and friends like that. So I think you start right there and just think, how do I make a profitable law firm from intake, right? And then the other stuff, find someone like me that does a lot of litigation and trial work, and I'll show you like easy tools to do like the discovery. But again, it all runs through that same hub. And as we talked about, technology happens infinitely. If we talk about the singularity and all those other concepts, it goes fast, dude. I like to sit on our, high level Slack chats with our Justice HQ members. We have a business help one where people are constantly updating us about new integrations or new tech that's happening. Even for me, it's hard to keep up. I mean, even for you, I'm sure in your space, there's so much new things that are happening. But yeah, I think that's the A1. And as cheesy as it sounds, we are still a service industry and we are still a relationship-based, this is what we do. So I think conferences and meeting people, even if it's virtually on Zoom, but going and meeting people and getting yourself. And I know you guys just had your big event and a lot of people get amped up from it, right? They make a lot of connections from it. And I'm a very big believer in that.
One thing was looking at leads as assets, even if you don't take the case. And that's something that I think a lot of attorneys don't do enough. One, they don't follow up nearly enough. We tell people to follow up 15 times, 20 times, because what will happen is you'll eventually get them on the phone. I mean, they reached out for a reason. So like, how do you feel about follow-up, and like, what are some of the tools? Like, what is your policy on follow-up? And then like, what are some of the tools that you use for follow-up?
I mean, I don't have a strict policy for it, but I do agree with you. It's like, why wouldn't you continue to follow up with what could be a very big case for you or a very big lead? Like, what's the worst? Are you afraid you're going to offend somebody that you don't know? I mean, why? Like, who gives a shit? I tell my lawyers, because we work on all compensations. I have about 25 lawyers who work at our firm now. Most people work on comps, eat what you kill. And I said, look, man, if there's a big steak out there and it's just daring you to eat it, you're going to try to get that steak and eat it no matter what, right? Yeah. So why would you let it go? Why would, if you have a dog on the bone, you're just going to let it go? That makes no sense. Like, I will keep pushing until they'll say something like, leave me alone. That's okay. Then I respect boundaries. But if they're just picking up the phone, I mean, maybe they're busy. Maybe they're dealing with, the significant loss of somebody. Give them time. Maybe they're on vacation. Maybe you're in their junk folder. Maybe you should stop using email. Maybe you should just send them an SMS or send them flowers, right? So whatever.
I have found personally, when I'm in an abundance mindset, we all make money. And scarcity, when I'm in a scarcity mindset, it seems like I retract and everyone else retracts. You know what I mean? So what is your thought on abundance versus scarcity, and even working and networking with your competitors?
There's 100% in abundance, and I 100% work with all of my competitors. People think that they're your competitors. I think the opposite. I think these are people that help you to grow, let you know what you don't know. I mean, I started off, when I started my firm, is I started splitting the fee and bringing in other people that are very good trial lawyers to learn how they do it, learn on their dime, and really grow. Because if somebody else, I mean, this is what you can do in the legal community. I got a big case, I'll bring in lawyer. I brought Brian Panish before, Gary Dordick, these people that are good friends of mine. Here's 50% of the fee. You guys carry the cost. I'll learn how you do it. Right. Mm-hmm. Makes no sense not to do that. Yeah. Like, best friends are all people that we consider my competitors. Right. Like, these are people that we travel with. That, like, we had a big event. One of my friends, Nick Rowley, won a big award here in Los Angeles from Consumer Watchdog. We work together a lot. Like, there's some cases we are competing for, and it's like, if your friend gets it, whatever, all good. Right. Mm-hmm. But there's cases where we work together. Like, Nick Rowley and I had a big case. We settled for $35 million on a brain injury case where we represented multiple people in the same crash. We decided to do a joint. What you could do is have a joint prosecution agreement where everybody splits the fee. So you're not competing even within that case. So there is ways to do it. But if you guys are thinking, I think you have to be generous to a fault. You have to. I'm 100% a believer that karma stuff, the biggest cases I ever got were because I worked for free for somebody as a lead-in, right? Because it wasn't like I could write a few letters for you, et cetera. And then a year later, they have a bigger case. And that's just, again, marketing those leads that don't even qualify for you. Your number, it's a contact, it's an SMS that you can send out, no problem. And if something comes back, it comes back.
The most successful attorneys that I've met are the quickest to give out their cell phone number to other attorneys. We've had them at our events and everything. And like, Daryl's on stage and he's like, if anybody has any questions, here's my cell phone number. Feel free to reach out to me. And like, we have clients in our program. We got like 170 lawyers in there. And like, lawyers will actually get together in our program and they'll take field trips to go to Mike Morris's office. And Mike Morris sits down with them for the entire day and walks them through all his processes. And then they go to Daryl Isaac's office. And these are the biggest PI attorneys in the state. And maybe there's people that aren't like this, but I haven't seen them. But like, it just seems like the more giving they are. Again, I think success leaves clues, and I think there's something to that.
Well, I think it's also the mindset of the people. Like, first time I ever met Daryl Isaacs, I was in Kentucky. I have a brand called Bourbon of Proof, which we were there on the Kentucky Trail, took 200 lawyers, did our education on the actual shuttles to and from the distilleries and things like this. And he couldn't make it because he was with one of his daughters. We video chatted, and now, we text all the time. And same with Mike Morris. I met him very briefly at the conference, and, we text about systems and stuff like this. And I have a case in Michigan. I'm going to send it to Mike Morris. Right. Yeah. I think we're giving with our time because I think it's the personalities of all of us, how we do things. And I think one thing that I've created, because I'm a big believer in this, free information, our podcast, things that do very well because we give out free information. Us lawyers have to figure out how to do mentorship on scale. So that's one of the reasons we started Justice HQ, is I wanted to be able to impart all of my wisdom and knowledge, not only how to try cases, how to have quality of life, how to have a successful firm, but to do it implementing on hundreds, if not thousands of people at a time. And then bringing in other people that have the same philosophy and helping all those lawyers. Because if in my industry, the better results that everyone's getting, the better results that we all get. Because if everybody's getting, right now, there's very high jury verdicts for everything that we're doing. across the country. And I think
Yeah.
it's a real movement. And the more that we're empowering everybody to try their cases, we're empowering everybody, here's how to do it the right way, giving them the secret sauce rather than holding in, which a lot of lawyers still hold in, which I think is dumb. Here it is. Like, I'm writing a book on how to try cases. Here it is. Please go win. Because the better you're doing, the better settlements we're all going to have, the better the consumer's going to do. So
I remember in high school, I didn't understand. I was terrible at algebra, but the girl sitting behind me was even worse than I was. So I would turn around and I would try to figure out how to explain this to her. And somehow by like teaching her, I somehow learned what the heck I was supposed to be doing. It's really interesting because like, if you actually like, even if you want to improve yourself, teach other people what you know. You know, it's so interesting how that works. Have you found that to be the case for you with all the stuff growing your law firm and everything?
Yeah, 100%. Because, you have to be, if you're putting yourself there out as a specialist in the space, you have to know the space. You have to be educated in it. I mean, I watch a lot of YouTube videos more than read. Like I do this type of trial, I'm going to learn it. I'm going to specialize and I'm going to learn it. Same thing with what you're telling other folks. Putting yourself out there to say that you know what you're talking about, you better know it. But it makes me understand and learn it too. I always say I like to go through the mental gymnastics of everything.
Yeah.
I learn something new every day. So we do a lot of case collaborations, not only at my firm, but with the other stuff that we do. People can like click a button, say, I have a case, submit the case. Everybody wants to go talk about it. This is what people do in their free time. Is I love just shooting on cases. People submit their case, Just HQ, we'll go and we'll all talk about it. And I start to, it keeps me sharp. This is how we should do this. This is how you want to cross that witness. This is how you set them up. And hear 20 other people that just are donating their time just to help this lawyer want to figure out how to win this case. It's awesome.
Do other lawyers, because they listen to you and they see you on the podcast, and now they start to feel like they probably know, they like, and they trust you? Because I get that all the time. Like, do you get referrals from like attorneys you don't know? Like, how has the podcast helped you in that regard?
I get referrals from other lawyers through my DM on Instagram every single day. And I mean, every single day. And these are lawyers from across the country. And a lot of it is a lead in from, hey, I saw your content. I love what you do. And the trust factor, like I try to practice what I preach. Lawyers will text me. He's like, hey, I have a question, a legal question, or hey, I want to start my own firm. Do you have 5 minutes? Yeah. Like I'll talk to you or come down to my house. We'll have some whiskey in my whiskey room. But I mean, when I tell people, they're like, Shaka, how's that happen? I'm like, well, because I'm constantly putting myself out there to do it. I get most of my stuff through Instagram, sometimes on Facebook, but I find Facebook for me, it's a little older generation, but don't get me wrong, there's way more users on Facebook, but globally. I'm trending a little. I'm going to start testing YouTube, but for me, Instagram, I'm going to start doing a TikTok one because I don't know if you saw this one, but Generation Z is like, Google did that survey and found that they're using TikTok more as in Instagram and more as their search algorithm.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, TikTok. We've got clients that are like crushing it on TikTok and like not even, just like regular videos, like nothing special. And they're just crushing it. It's crazy.
If you're putting content out there, don't make the mistake of not allowing people to contact you or tell you they do. And it doesn't have to be in that quick little thing. I try to be funny and entertaining, but at least on your Instagram profile, if you don't have a link for somebody to contact you or case consultation, like what are you doing this for? You got to put content out there that you're going to get the people that you want. Be wary of the content you're putting out there because you reap what you sow.
Okay. So a lot of lawyers worry that I'm not going to appear professional. People only want to hire a professional lawyer. Now I'm looking at you. You're covered in tattoos. You're wearing a backwards hat. You swear like a sailor.
Shirt on right now. It says Carpe Diem.
Carpe Diem. So let's start with backwards hat, covered in tattoos. Has that ever hurt you in any way?
Zero. I mean, I had a juror come up to me once and we were just in the bathroom together. You can't talk to jurors. And the guy just whispers, he goes, your beard is awesome. And then walks out. I mean, it's a little type of things, but I think it helps. Like, I think if I wanted a lawyer, who would I look for? I would want somebody like me. I would want somebody that talks straight, that is there to help you, that's a real human being. I don't want the white stuffy gray-haired lawyer taking a picture with a library of books behind them, right? I want somebody, even if for medicine, if you're going to pick a doctor, give me the doctor that's been out of medical school for 5 years, that's into the nuanced stuff, that's into technology, that has a good bedside manner, that's kind of like me, that I can text. Like I'm texting a doctor right now because my 5-year-old sprained her wrist yesterday. I'm going to take her for X-ray. Yeah, I mean, so I text my orthopedic friends down the street, right? But that type of stuff, like, come in, get an X-ray, that kind of stuff. But that's the person that I want to interact with, right? Not somebody so hotty-toddy that you can't get a hold of, that you don't speak the same language with. I mean, look at it now, it's resonating into politics. You look at a guy like John Fetterman in Pennsylvania who's wearing a hoodie out there on the trail, right? And I love it. Like, I'm from Pittsburgh. He's in Braddock, one of the towns in Pittsburgh. And it's like, to me, it's like a real thing, right? I think or find suits to be untrustworthy. I think they find them to be in it for the money. And I think clients, if I'm a client and walking into somebody's office and they have like a gold throne, this is not like, this isn't cool, right?
Yeah.
Like I have a giant Hulk. I have a giant Hulk in one statue. I have a giant Groot in another statue. We have like surfboards everywhere in my Hermosa office. People walk in and it's like,
see, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's different.
Well, you know what it is? It's building rapport. So I was talking to a lawyer one time and he's from Boston. He's like, what kind of tie should I wear? I'm like, dude, put on a Red Sox jersey, put on a Patriots hat or something like that. You know what I mean? Like people will resonate with you more if they feel like you're like them. One of the easiest things that you can do to build rapport with people. He's like, I used to tell clients to do this all the time. And this is probably a little bit of an older generation. Tell them to go out and buy like a classic sports car and just park it right outside their office. And even if it didn't run, just leave it parked there. Because everybody would come in with a story about how, oh, this is the car I lost my virginity in, or my dad used to have this car, or whatever it is, an instant report, even if they've never driven the stupid thing. Or if you're a veteran, put your Marine stuff on the walls or whatever it is, because it's just instant rapport. And when that happens, they're going to hire you every time because they've got that rapport, you know?
Like I have like these wooden fedoras that I have. A friend of mine's an artist that makes them, and I wear them to events, wear them one on Saturday. And everybody comes up to me, he's like, bro, that's the coolest hat I've ever seen. It's like a conversation piece, right?
Yeah.
Oh, my wife's big. I mean, she's big into fashion, all these things. She always hooks me up a little bit. But always be a little different, man. Stand out a little bit and have a conversation, but research your target audience. So for me, the jury, the 12 people making the decision, I research each and every one of them. I figure out their likes, their don't likes, their loves. And sometimes it'll be as subtle as I'll wear cufflinks that may resonate with one of my two power jurors, right? Or socks that they may see, like these little things, right? Or they say certain things that are on the stand. Same thing. If you're trying to sign up a client and it's a veteran, like you said, and he's coming to your office, why not invest in paying $1,000, $500,000 to have somebody rent you the classic car that you know that they love and just have it parked around back?
So where do you see the legal industry going in the next 10 years? You know, if you think about where we were 10 years ago, we barely had iPhones, right? And now think of where we are. So what do you think is going to happen in the next 10 years?
So if anybody's paying attention to what's happening in Arizona, where you could have non-lawyers owned law firms, I think you're going to see that's going to be kind of the sandbox where I think things, the jumping point where things are going to go. You know, in California, we just had a bill signed where they're not going to go that way, but I do think in some form or fashion, it's going to run like this. You're going to have a consolidation of all of these major advertising firms for lawyers. They're going to buy up the marketing share, buy up the space. They're going to take up the billboards because they can have the loss and things like this. But those lawyers, they're going to Amazon law, for lack of a better term. They're going to look to partner with the quickest, most efficient, and the best lawyers for their asset. They're going to want the best lawyers for their asset because if they're doing a fee share, if they're allowed to do this, if Arizona, if you have the best digital marketing company, they're going to want it to go to the best lawyer in that space because they're going to have the highest return on their percentage. So I think lawyers, the easiest thing that you can do, you should be working for yourself or at a small firm, and you should specialize, and you should let everybody know what you specialize in. This is an easy thing to do. If you're playing to other lawyers, they're going to refer you a case for percentage. You're not doing big digital marketing spends. You're not spending all this money. You are putting out content that you are a specialist in this space, easy to contact. I get big results. Easy, right? You can do those things. If you have the money, time, and energy to invest to build a system like you guys are talking about, from digital marketing to easy intake to all implementation, you go that route, you are creating an asset that can easily be replicated, it can easily be bought, can be scaled. So I think either direction you go, you're going to be very successful, either super specialized litigation trial lawyer, or you're going to run like a digital law firm that can be replicated or bought. So I think in 10 years, if you can't run your law firm from your cell phone, you're in big trouble.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. You know, like you said, if it's the type of thing where basically you're building a law firm with systems, nobody wants to buy a job, right? What they want is they want to buy a system that basically that they can just plug themselves into and money comes out. A lot of people are too close to it. And they don't think from the perspective of, okay, if someone's going to buy this thing, what are they actually going to want? What are they going to value?
The one problem that a lot of lawyers have, especially trial lawyers, is their ego.
Yeah.
The only reason they do is their ego. And if you want to be successful in this industry, check your ego at the door. Don't take yourself seriously, because if you do that and you want yourself at the top of the pyramid, guess what? can't be acquired. You're gonna be working until you're 70 because you put yourself at the top and you wanted
Yeah.
all the glamour and gold.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And the other thing you said, which I love, is specialize in something. So I always say the riches are in the niches, right? And
I
I always
like
say
that. The riches are in the niches. Almost
riches
like
are
the
in the
snitches get ditches, right?
yeah, exactly. The riches are in the niches and the fortunes in the follow-up. Those are two of my big
Oh,
sayings, right?
you should trademark that, Andy. Did you
Yeah, I
trademark
know.
it?
I don't think I came up with it though. I wish I did. I think I
Just
could pretend I made it up because you never heard it before, but I didn't come up with it.
just say you did.
Yeah.
We trademarked Justice Team. I trademarked Justice HQ, the logo. Trademarked.
Oh, interesting.
Any
So I
case
can
in
just trademark stuff and like you. I
Yeah.
guess I could, right? I guess that's like, huh? Interesting.
Is somebody going to say it? Like I trademark bourbon approved? Like there's just
Interesting.
somebody don't challenge it, they don't challenge it, dude. So
That's true. Yeah, I love that. All right, cool. Maybe I need to
I
call
like
my
this.
attorney
Steve.
after this.
No, it's-
You can niche down your practice area. You can niche down to a specialist, or you can niche down to a group of people. So like we've had a lot of lawyers that have had a lot of success targeting bikers, like motorcycle riders, right? If you become the authority on all things motorcycle safety and things like that, then people will start evangelizing you, right? And like, or like, for example, one that I've always talked about is parents of teen drivers, right? Because if you can go in and you can provide really good safety tips for parents to give their teenagers, and they start to trust you and know you and like you, then what's going to happen is anytime anyone gets into an accident, not just the teenager, you're going to be one that they call because it's an emotional thing that they want to pay attention. So you say, hey parents, these are the 4 intersections in Los Angeles that you need to make sure your kids avoid at all costs because this is where the most accidents happen, right? If you're a parent, you're going to pay attention to that. And now you have this big group of people who are watching your stuff and they know and like and trust you, you know? So it's like, yeah, if you can niche down both either in audience or in practice area, like I think that's how you compete with these consolidating firms.
You're right. And this is what I tell lawyers all the time. And they don't like lawyers like, well, what niche should I do? And it's like, well, why don't you just pick like construction accidents?
Mhm.
Just pick like forklift accidents. They're like, but I don't know anything about forklifts. Like, who gives a you can partner with a lawyer that knows
Learn.
about forklifts, right?
Yeah.
You can learn. So it's like if you pick a niche that you would like to work on, like
Yeah.
if your lawyer's starting out, you could pick your brand, pick your niche, pick your Instagram handle, and pick something that you think that you'd like to work on that'd be profitable. And
Mhm.
guess what? Since fee sharing is legal, you can partner with any other lawyer or law
Yeah.
firm that knows that space very well, especially early on until you learn and pick it up. But your A1 right now should be marketing yourself to get those cases, just like you
Yeah.
said. And I think you're 100% dead on. Keep putting yourself out as a specialist in this space. Like I see lawyers that are killing it doing lemon law because they're
Yeah.
just top of mind. I know this one girl, if I think lemon law, I'm going right to her because I see her content all the time.
Yeah. You know, Ali Awad,
I know Ali Awad, the CEO lawyer.
CEO lawyer. So he told me something that we had him at our event 2 weeks ago, and he was telling me something really cool. He's like, I mean, he's got millions of followers, and he just gets, I mean, just ridiculous number of cases. But he'll put out content on criminal defense. He'll put out on content on stuff that he doesn't even practice, just because he knows it will bring the attention and people will watch it. And look, if he gets a criminal defense lead, okay, so I just give it to somebody else and I get a check later. You know what I mean? Like, just think about what do your ideal clients care about and talk about that.
Yep. And then have your outlets ready. So that's why like we have a case exchange at Justice HQ. So if you get a case that you're not a specialist in, you can search the membership or send it to the directory and somebody else can pick it up. Same thing you're talking about, finding that lawyer in Omaha, it pops up, making that easy for you. So you should be never turn off the faucet, never turn off the faucet, right?
Yeah.
Put it on full blast, keep it going, but just know the different ways to direct that water if you have to. Why not? And profitize it. Even if you're getting a small share of the fee, get the call, get it, send it out to the specialist, get a percentage, off you go, right? But he's right, man. I think that's 100% good advice. And for Ali Awad, right? So he's not, I bet you he's not really doing any litigation himself. I bet you he's not doing any trial work himself, right? He's doing what he's excellent at doing. And I know some lawyers at the firm that are awesome. Like what's one guy, Tim Henshaw, he's awesome. And he knows his stuff. He knows his trucking things. And he's leaning on a specialist to do what they do within his firm. I think that's what you got to do. Just specialize in what you want and outsource it, right? When I mentor lawyers, I say, get a piece of paper, write on the right side all the stuff that you want to do in your life or within your legal career. On the left, all the stuff you hate doing. All the stuff on the left, find other people that want to do it. find other people, man.
Yeah.
Don't be in that, like mine is like, I just want to try cases. I just want to get cases. That's it. That's all I do.
Yeah. Well, you know, what's cool is that you have the option. When you get to this point, you have the option, because a lot of lawyers are like, I love being a lawyer, I don't want to be a marketer. It's like, well, you don't have to. I always say money doesn't buy happiness. What money does is it buys you options, and options are happiness, right? And what's cool is that, like, if you don't want to do that stuff, you can put yourself out there, you can get the mark, and then you can have a reliable source of leads coming in. So you can hire people to do all the crap that you don't want to do. And then you can do whatever you want to do.
But it's also, we talk about using VAs, virtual assistants. You can train them to do all those other things to do, especially if they're 12 hours ahead, if they're in a different country, they could do it while you're asleep, and having somebody, you know, easy in those systems. But if you're a lawyer and you want to be a lawyer, that's most of their members of Justice HQ. So what I tell them, if you want to be a lawyer, specialize in your space, but make relationships with the lawyers that are getting a lot of cases, because they have so much overflow that they're willing to contract out all of these cases. A lot of lawyers I know don't want to do any litigation. If they can't sell it before they file the complaint, they want to send 40 cases a month out the door to other folks. Make relationships with them.
Yeah.
Why not?
Absolutely.
Right? Then you don't have to you're not doing advertising or marketing. You're just keeping happy this one person that's sending you a lot of cases.
What is the one piece of advice that you would have given yourself if you could go back to the day you graduated law school? What's the one piece of advice you'd give yourself?
Man, see, dude, I'm one of those guys, like, if I watch any of those movies and people go back in time, I'm like, I don't f with time, man. It has like ripple effects and like,
it's true. I guess you got to where you are now by doing exactly what you did. So
this is advice that my dad gave me when my dad's a trucker. Yeah, took out loans to get my brother and I were the first ones to graduate from college in our immediate family.
Cool.
My dad actually played for Pitt, but I got kicked out for fighting a D-backs coach. He'll tell you a different story, but I know. But, you know, he dropped us out for college, and, you know, he said, we were in the cafeteria, I'll never forget. He looks around, he says, you see all these people here, Bob? I was like, yeah. And he's like, you see all those people over there, Brad? And he's like, yeah, because we're twins. He goes, every single person here is looking for a leader to help them with their problem. Every single person here is looking for somebody to be the leader, to stand up for them. Every one of these folks are. He said, either you two are those folks, or you're just the ones that are being told what to do. He's like, you can pick, but I know my choice for you. And
man, that's good.
It's good. And the other one that happened is whenever, like, I hear people when they tell their parents they're going to go open their own law firm, and their parents will say, don't do that. Like, why would you do that? Like, why would you take away this job, like this 6-figure income you have? Like, when I told my dad 3 years out that my brother and I were starting our own firm, and he was like, what took you so long? It's so fun. And he's like, well, what's the worst thing that could happen? You fail. He's like, so what? You fail, we can go back and work for another firm. In fact, they'll probably like you even more for taking a chance on you.
The job will always be there for you. That's so cool. I love that. Everyone is looking for a leader. I'm going to tell my kids that's really good. I like that.
So every day when I drop my 5-year-old off for school, like, I'll get down to me, I'll say, you listen to the teacher, be the best helper, but be the leader. The games you want to play on the playground, you tell the other kids that you're playing that game. We learn by failures, not success, most of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I grew up, I played baseball for a long time, and you can fail 70% of the time and be an all-star.
That's what A-Rod said last week. He's like, if you fail 70% of the time, you get to go to Cooperstown. You know what? It's amazing. You know, I'm
going to trademark that, because I didn't know. That.
Trademark it and send it to A-Rod and say, hey, look, stop taking my line here.
Oh, man, that's funny.
So listen, Bob, it was awesome talking to you. I really enjoyed this conversation. I would love to talk to you again at another point. But this is a lot of fun.